Hello, everyone. My name is Janice Nicholas, and I'm going to be presenting on the suggestions for the church for Generation X. It's nice to finally meet you guys. Um, as my awesome group has already been telling you, the Generation X is kind of the middle child. We have your older kid who was just shining and rocking at everything. You have your younger sibling who was just kind of stole the center of attention at the end of it. Like, he's just pretty great, pretty athletic. But you have your middle child, kind of overlooked, kind of just there. But they find their light and their shine at some point. And so this is kind of their time to shine in our class. So I want to give some suggestions. We know that Generation X is around their 40s and 50s. A lot of Generation X right now are the ones running our church. We also know that Generation X has a problem with authority. So we always want to be the guide on the side with them and not the sage on the stage. That just means that we're not up there preaching at them or telling them what to do all the time, but we want to be right next to them. And if they have feedback, we want to hear their feedback. We want to know what it is that they have to say and be respectful of that. With them running the church, we can also see there's been a big push on discipleship one-on-one lately. And that has to come from Generation X because they're so relational and that's something that they're pushing. So that's obviously something that we need to be doing. That's something that the church should be doing. One-on-one discipleship, small group discipleship, something to make them feel welcome, to make them and their families feel like they're important, like they belong to the church, like they belong to our group. It doesn't have to be cliquish. It doesn't have to be anything like that. But it does need to be relational. A lot of Generation X either have some teenage kids or they have some young grandbabies that they have coming. They don't want to come into a church and feel like nobody cares about their grandbaby or their children or even them for that matter. They want their family to feel welcome above all else. But what are we doing with groups for our 40s and 50s? Sometimes we're not really having a group for them. We have our senior adults, we have our young adults, we have our young married couples, we have our married couples, but we don't really have a group for our 40s and 50s. So something our church can be doing is we can be creating small groups for our 40 and 50-year-old generation. Whether that is I am an empty nester now and I want to help and guide someone else. Again, that kind of guide on the side instead of sage on the stage. They want to walk through life with someone, that discipleship in there. Or if it's, hey, I'm new to this grandchildren thing. Can I get some people to walk alongside me with that? That's again your small groups, your one-on-one, but it's making them feel welcome and it's giving them a spot in the church. For those of them that are not coming to church, that they're not leading it, we have also seen a decrease in them coming. It's not just millennials not coming anymore. It's also Generation X. So we really need to invite. Send out invites to our grandparents, our moms, our dads, everyone that we know, so that way they can feel welcome. And once they're there, try to figure out what it is that we can do to make them stay. What can we do? Again, that's those small groups, that one-on-one discipleship. That's even someone greeting them at the door and making sure they find a seat inside and sticking with them that whole time, just so that way they can feel like they are someone, like they are welcome. Generation X grew up they were latchkey kids, so they came home and there was no one there. And that's really a lonely feeling, and no one really likes that. So that's another reason why we want to push relationality. How can we go that extra step in our church? Do we have a parking lot group that helps people park? Do we have golf carts that helps cart people to the front doors? Do we go that extra step and have an umbrella waiting for them when it's raining outside, when someone is holding the front door? Do we have maybe a coffee bar if that's something that your church can do? Do you have a group that can session them in through the sanctuary or through the auditorium and have flashlights so that way we're not really disruptive, but someone who knows what's going on? Do we go that extra mile to make not only our whole church feel welcome, but to even pinpoint those people that are in their 40s and 50s and make sure that they know where they're going? And if those people in their 40s and 50s, they have a lot of wisdom, how are we as a church going to allow them to lead? Again, that's their small groups, that's discipleship, that's creating groups that are for that specific generation group, where they are now. Creating those groups, allowing them to lead, and getting their feedback without having any sort of retaliation, because they have a problem with authority, and that's okay. But if they have a suggestion, we need to be open to hearing it. So those are some things that the church can do for Generation X. There's also really simple ones on the slide right after this. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.